ABC Kinder Teach presents Edwurd Fudwupper Fibbed Big, written by Berkeley Breathed. From a long line of liars, there's none higher upper than my fibbing big brother, the Edwurd Fudwupper. So he is a big fibber or a big liar. There he is now. I know just what he's doing. He's thinking of who could be next for some fooling. Edward's been cooking up fibs full of phooey, which means nonsense. He'll serve them up sweet, all gooey and hooey, stinky. Last week he fibbed big and told Mabel Dill, "I read you've been voted the Queen of Brazil. They want you to come. Bikinis bring 10. I think Mabel went. No one's seen her since then. So Edward told Mabel that she is going to be the Queen of Brazil, which is a country a long ways from the United States, and that she should bring 10 bikinis. And she looks pretty excited, doesn't she? And of course, it's a big, big fib or a lie. Yes, he thought them up long, and he thought them up tall, but did he think much of me? No, not much. Not at all. So he kind of ignores his sister, and she really wants him to pay attention to her. And she's very sad because he doesn't. Like the time he fibbed big and told Ben and Dinky that I had been born by a poodle named Stinky. So he told his friends that his sister was born by a poodle that looked like that, which is not a very nice thing, is it? That wasn't so nice, but that fib I'd forgive if only he liked me or noticed I live. So she doesn't even care that he says bad things about her if he would just pay attention to her. Early this morning he did it again. He whacked a baseball and things smashed in the den. Dad rushed on over and found Mom's cracked pig. Then Edward Fudwupper fibbed way too big. What's he gonna say happened to the pig? He's not gonna say hit it with a baseball bat in the house. He's gonna make up some fib, right? And look at the sister. She's like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's all truly, clearly, quite simple, you know. The whole thing was done by two pigs from Pluto, which is a planet a long, long ways away. They were cruising by Earth, looking down from above, when they spotted Mom's pig and fell deeply in love. So they said, oh, these pigs are in love with his mom's pig. Of course, he is making this all up, right? So they dropped one pig here. He just could not resist. That passionate porker insisted a kiss. A passionate porker is an affectionate pig, a very friendly pig that likes to kiss and hug. And insisted just means demanded. But he leaned in too far and Mom's pig hit the ground. On Pluto, you see, they kiss sitting down. So he's saying the reason the pig fell over is that this pig leaned over and knocked over this pig because they normally kiss sitting down, and here he is standing up. Then he left broken-hearted, upset, and unseen, which means he left, but nobody saw him except Edward, and his ship picked him up with a pig-lifting beam. And there's a pig-lifting beam right there. And that's all. That's the truth, said Ed the Fib Slinger, which is someone who's good at telling lies. In the whole of fib history, the history of people telling lies, a whopping humdinger, which is a very big lie. Then a yelp, which is a short scream of pain, and a howl, and a scream from nearby. Lorna May Loon had been listening outside. "Mabel Dill," she cried loudly, "has been missing for days. She must have been grabbed by those pig-lifting rays." She got to a phone and screamed loud and shrill, which means a sound like a whistle, like hee! "Space monster piggies have nabbed," or stole, "Mabel Dill. They're coming for me and they're coming for you. Send the Army and Air Force and dog catcher too." So he says, send the Army, send the Air Force, and a dog catcher, which I don't know why they're calling for a dog catcher. Maybe because they're pigs and maybe a dog catcher is the closest thing to catching a pig. I don't know. And Edward says, "Shh, no, shh," because he is trying to not get into any more trouble. And that's just what they did. They came for space pigs with planes and with tanks and with loud whirly-gigs, helicopters. Oh, it was dreadful, or terrible, or awful. A real world stopper, all from an Edwurd Fudwupper Fat Whopper, all from a big lie that he made. He is in terrible, terrible trouble. They pointed their loudspeaker dishes to space, and loudspeaker dishes are just a way for their voices to be heard far away. And those generals roared till red in the face, and roared just means yelled in anger. "Now listen out there, we'll shoot, yes we will. Come back here at once and bring Mabel Dill." Edward watched all of this for quite a long time, but people were staring at something behind. "Oh, rats," Edward thought, "how much more could there be?" So he's thinking, I'm in trouble. I'm getting into more trouble, and it looks like there might even be more trouble on top of that. So what could it be? A face filled the sky from the hills to the sea. It did not look happy, nor pleasant, nor soft. In fact, that big thing looked somewhat ticked off, which means mad. It was purple and green with an eye on its snoot, its nose. It opened its mouth, roaring, "Oh, started this hoot!" So Edward's like, "Oh boy." And so there's this big thing looking at him, and one of his eyes is in his nose or his snout, and he looks mad, and whoo, this looks bad for Edward, very bad. "I live quite close by, just 2 galaxies down." And a galaxy is space that's filled with lots of stars and planets. "And I just cannot sleep with this fuss," all this noise and racket and everybody worrying, "and this sound. I know nothing of pigs, nor a lost Mabel Dill. So someone's been fibbing with slippery skill," which means fibbing very well or lying very well. "Who is this gnat?" This little bug. "Point out where he's at. Show him to me and I'll squat him down flat." So he's saying, show me the person who's lying and I will squash him. And so the reason his face looks so big in the last one is because he is so big that his mouth is about the size of the Earth or our planet. And that's what they did, each dad and each mother. They pointed right up at my shaking big brother. Edward dropped low. He was scared 10 times double. He'd fibbed way too big and now in huge trouble. So what's he gonna do? Then wait, what's that sound? A voice, small and fine, just a little voice. Everyone stopped. Whose was it? So whose voice are they hearing now? It doesn't sound like Edward's. Who could it be? Who could it be? It was mine. Oh, please, I called out. It's my fault, don't you see? I broke that blue pig. Edward's fib was for me. So dear grumpy thing with 3 eyes in your head, see that it's me you should swat down instead. What could I do? Edward faced a big mess. I told a fat fib, which is a big lie. Yes, I'd learned from the best. So she said that she caused all the commotion and all the trouble to protect Edward. That's a nice sister, very nice. I thought I'd be smooshed or squished, smashed, squashed right on down, but that big face looked in with a smile, not a frown. So this creature is smiling at the girl rather than looking mad. That sounds better, doesn't it? I think, he said firmly, you both are big fibsters, or big liars. But out where I live, we're not loved by our sisters. Mine, by the way, I have left all alone, and now I'll go back to her sleeping at home. He looked at me odd, kind of sad, kind of blue, or sad. It sure would be nice to have one like you. To have a sister like she is, who would stand up for her brother even when it was not necessarily the best thing to do, maybe. Then he turned round his ship and back home he drove her, and I turned to find Edward looking me over. He said not a thing as we walked back to Dad, where there he looked up and confessed, said that he did something bad. I've been bad. So we taped and we glued and we fixed up Mom's pig, and we told Mom the truth that we'd fibbed fat and big, a very big lie. Our folks hugged us both and collected no fines. That's usually money you pay for doing something wrong. But we sat in timeout to pay for our crimes. Since they lied, they had to sit in timeout because they were in trouble. Then Ed looked at me with a smile that was new and said, "It is nice to have one like you." 2 former fibsters, that Edward and me, but brother and sister we finally be. So finally, Edward recognizes or sees his sister and says, this is a good person. I'm going to be a friend to her and not ignore her. And if somebody knows where Mabel Dill went, please tell her from Edward that no harm was meant. That he didn't mean to get her into trouble. And look, she shows up in Brazil thinking she's the queen, and she has on a bikini.